Hello friends, today we're going to make a glass chicken. I have a sample here of a chicken made in fantasy colors. I enjoy making them in all kinds of hues. And the tools we're going to need today include a parallel mashers, a marver, tools to cut with or give detail like a brass knife or a magic wand. You will also use perhaps some tweezers and convex concave pliers. Now, if we are going to use Marini for the eyes, you will want to have tweezers to pick them up, and also definitely more than 2 Marinis for eyes, because as we know, they like to fall on the floor, and we don't want to have to pick up Marini while the torch is running. Colors for your chicken body. I'm going to make this one out of brown. I always like to use yellow for the beak, and then some bright colors for the tail, the wattle under the neck, and the crown on the hen's head. White, if I'm going to put regular eyes, I'll have white, and then a stringer of black pulled for the center of the eye, or whatever fantasy color you are going to want to use. Okay, so you have your mandrel dipped. You've got a Marini ready if you're going to use that. And let's get started. This video is obviously sped up. I can't wind a cone onto a mandrel this fast, but we'll save a little time and speed it up. Do not worry about the exact shape. Some options to think about while you're making this base bead for the chicken is, do I want to add frit? Do I want to add dots? And sometimes if you have this embellishment, you don't even really need to add the wings. You can just put a couple of cuts to suggest wings on each side. We're just winding more and more of this body color onto the mandrel, not worrying about the exact shape of a cone, but narrower towards your hand and with more mass of the glass up towards the top of the mandrel, which we're going to roll on a marver in just a moment. Okay, we have our cone shape. We've got it juicy hot. We're rolling it onto on a marver to make it smooth. Don't worry about if it has little imperfections near the top. We're going to add a tail and a head on there anyway. Next tool you're going to need are your parallel mashers, and you're going to take your cone shape and gently press to flatten it, not too flat. You want at least the width of the mandrel of glass on either side of the mandrel. And then after you mash it, you may want to warm it back up a little bit, give another press if it's not as thin as you like it, and then you can get the chill marks out a little bit. Let's watch that one more time. Pre-warming your mashers is also a good idea so you don't really shock the glass. Now we're going to try to heat up each corner of the triangle, giving insurance heat all over the chicken, and if you want to pull out the points of the triangle a little more, you would do that now. As we get ready to add the head, you're going to heat up the corner where you're going to add the head and get your body color, and then you'll add a big old gather nice and round onto that corner for the head, leaving room for the crown on top and the wattle underneath on the neck. So a nice big round gather of glass will ensure you have room to add those features. After some insurance heat all over the hen, we're going to go to the other end and add the tail. I've got a nice bright orange, and I'm going to think about, do I want 3 or 4 dots? I want it to wrap kind of around the end, so a little bit on top and a little bit to the back. So I'm going to get nice and hot where the dots are going to be added for a good solid connection. I'm going to start from the bottom and add some great big dots. It's fine if they touch. chicken feathers touch on a real hen. And it looks like this chicken is going to have 4 dots, so she'll have a nice big tail. And we're going to get those dots on, and then later we'll come back and we'll put the detail into them. Now you need to decide if you're going to add wings directly on top of your opaque, or if you want frit, dots, or other embellishments. You need to add that before you add the wings. Now for the other wing, I'm going to get my rod of amber or topaz. I'm going to swipe it on, and then I'm going to get that nice and hot. Grab my brass knife and put in a few cuts for some dimension and give some insurance heat to the whole chicken. Okay, I've got my convex concave pliers. I'm going to heat each dot individually and give it 1 or 2 squeezes with my pliers until I like the way it looks, not too thin. Okay, so we've got our tail ready, and that's just about done. Give some insurance heat and we'll move on to the other end of the bird. Okay, on to the crown and the wattle under the neck. 2 dots for the wattle ought to be enough. We'll come back and mash these later. Get the area where you're going to add them good and hot. Add them with your stringer or your rod, and then go up to the head. Get the head area where you're going to add the crown dots nice and hot for a good connection. 2 or 3 dots on the head, maybe a little bigger than the ones you added for the wattle would be good. They can be different colors if you like, or they can be the same colors. And again, we are going to come back and squeeze these with tweezers or pliers. Just to remind you, the whole video part of this demo is sped up. This is not happening in real time. Now we've got our dots for the tail, all embellished. We have dots for the crown, and we have dots for the wattle. We're going to take our convex concave pliers and give some dimension to the dots on top of the head for the crown. Now heat the whole chicken. Heat up the bottom, the places where the chicken connects with the mandrel, the sides, get good insurance heat all throughout the chicken. Heat up your rod and heat up the place where you're going to add the beak. Get those places good and hot, and then join the rod and pull it out slowly. Next, we're going to add the eyes. For this chicken, we are not going to have marini eyes. We're going to add white dots and then smaller black dots in the center of them. And so you might want to mark the 2 places. You can get some Peter's tweezers that would mark evenly spaced dots on the left and right side of the head. That just helps give you a target to put the white glass onto. So once you have that, you'll use your white. I've got a Fetra white, and I'm going to heat up that area, get my white rod, and I'm going to aim for that area that I just made an indentation into. This is white stringer, and I've got 1 dot, and I'll go to the other side and make the other. And I'm going to flatten these in a little bit with my brass knife. And if they're a little bit missized, they don't match, I'll either mash one in a little more than the other, or I'll try to pull off a little bit of excess glass on one side. Okay, now that I've got the white kind of flattened out as a place to put the black pupil, or whatever color you would like to use, I'm going to grab my black stringer, and I'm going to warm up the end of it, and then I'll try to target for the center of that white on each side of the chicken, warming up the place where it's going to adhere, because a tiny black dot has a propensity to want to pop off if you don't have a good solid connection. I've got my two little black dots, and again I'm going to grab my brass knife and push them all the way into the white and try to look and see if they're even, if I need to pull off any black on one side or the other. Okay, the last couple of things we have to do are squeeze or give some dimension to the wattle and pull out the beak into a nice point. So once we get the mashers and we've squeezed the wattle, we have some nice points, or you can use your knife to cut it. You're going to touch your stringer or your rod to kind of the beak, which you've gotten the tip of hot, and you're just going to pull it out. This might take a couple of attempts at this. Sometimes the wattle is pulled out with the beak also, and that's okay. In this one, the wattle and the beak are kind of attached. On some chickens it's not. Doesn't matter, it looks good. And if you have more of a neck on your chicken, the wattle will kind of hang down underneath his head. So there's our chicken. Here's our brown hen from today and some of her little friends in various colors, marini eyes or not. Hope you enjoyed the demo. Thank you for watching.